On this episode of the Roundtable, brought to you by Pre-Extreme and Sam Adams Extreme. Banger of all bangers, double banger episode. Yeah. Like if you were taking like a whiskey shot, this would be a double.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Roundtable times chasing edges with BP.
Did you say times tits?
You wish.
This is a great episode. Listen, if you're listening to this, don't be afraid to take some notes and write some shit down. Like you should, put on your fucking open your brain up and write some shit down.
Straight.
We have Brian Peters back on the episode. We always have Brian on every time he's on. It's always a great time. Love having him here. So I think you guys will take away a lot from this episode.
Yeah, Brian's been on a nomad journey for a while.
World's greatest.
And I don't even use the word journey ever, but I'm using it because it has been a journey. We learned a lot. We laughed. We cried. We talked about really smart stuff. Let's go to the show. Roundtable Podcast. I'm your boy Cory G at Small Arms Danny at Trey Speed and the graphic gangster himself, Cole Susac. Special guests, Chasing Edges, Brian Peters. The nomad himself is back.
Full-blooded gypsy.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, dude, it's been.
You're Tommy Shelby.
And it's not stopping. It's
Thomas Shelby.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, right.
That's a good one.
Hey, same, bro. I love that.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you kind of look like him. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I get my fucking hair back up like that.
Get the razor bladed sides.
Hell yeah. So great to have you back in the building, Brian.
Dude, good to be back, even though it's going to be short lived.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is, I don't travel a bunch anymore, but I'm kind of living through you, right? You're around a lot of really cool people. You're getting to do your secondary passion after football. So maybe just kind of give us an insight of what's been going on with you like the last, month or so, and just like kind of where this whole breathing and lifestyle and driving your sauna all over the world, like it's been awesome to watch, man.
Yeah. So for those of you listening, he's referring, I have a 16-person mobile sauna and I coach breathwork, mental skills, and I use the ice tub and the sauna as part of that bit. And the ice is more of like a teacher where I coach breathwork to down regulate in the ice. But besides the point, I just wrapped up over 5,700 mile trip with the sauna. I went from Columbus to Denver, down to Colorado Springs, back to Denver, then out to Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Dallas, South Carolina, and then back here.
That's even more than I thought it was.
Damn.
Yeah, and it was awesome. But like to your extent, like I think you know the drill. Where right now I'm just kind of in a grind phase to get what I do out there and in front of the right people. And the more and more people I talk to in military and sports and those kind of things, they're slowly starting to adopt it. But a lot of people just don't understand what it is.
Well, and you got to be in front of them, Brian. Like if you're just sitting in your house in Columbus saying, I want to do this, it ain't gonna fucking work, bro. Like you being out and taking something like the sauna, which is like uncommon, right? You roll up with it to JJ Watt's house or Sornex or whatever it is. And like, people are like, fuck, I got to take this guy serious. He's rolling up here with like the real deal. I mean, when you leave it here and people realize what it is, they're like, holy shit. So it's like that, one, I know you're passionate about it, but two, when you're getting a chance to like arrive like that, motherfuckers got to take it serious, bro.
Yeah, and I just I get frustrated because I bang my head against the wall on the phone, like trying to sell what I do to strength coaches or whoever it ends up being. And then like, in my world, you have to feel it to understand it. And a lot of times I have to show you the actual adaptation that's happening in the body, or you have to feel like, okay, I'm so calm that my mouth is salivating because I'm changing into like a rest and digest, like down regulated state, like things like that, where it's hard to translate. So yeah, so I'm just kind of like accepting the deal that like I got to get out in front of people, whether that's again, like 2,100 miles away and just got to, I guess pay the deal or pay the debt there. But dude, I truly do love it just because you see the impact it has on people really quick. And then now people, like, I get so much interaction after I leave places now where it's, hey, like, and it's even like tweaks. They're like, hey, I did this in between reps, but like, can I get more out of this? And it's just like, yeah. And then so now I'm like constantly coaching post events and post like just one-on-one sessions and stuff where it's like I'm constantly in the breath world and the physiology and psychology world. So now like more like the combative with this travel and stuff is some of it's like keeping up with social, which Cole and Trey helped me with and that kind of stuff too. But A lot of it's like I want to stay ahead of the fucking game too, and in order to do that, I got to spend time learning on my learning, and then like kind of like manipulating the information into a story and get reps. And so like the cool thing about all this traveling and hitting different events is I can kind of like insert things and see if they click, and then or insert like jokes and see if they hit. It's almost like stand up.
I'm gonna leave the insert thing alone, but I was gonna say,
but
same Denny. No.
Yeah, but it's just it's stuff like that. It's all an experiment. So
talk about and then I'll throw it to these guys. Like the relationships, you're really good at building relationships, right? You're good at getting back with people, over delivering. Like when you experience the Fire and Ice, it's like it is like a team building type of thing on top of it. Like, I don't know if a lot of people realize that. And then you're relaxing people, teaching them stuff. And then I think you're really good at the relationship part. So it seems like probably every spot you stop, then the ongoing relationship or potential business in the future, I would think that you're seeing like some good success from that. It's partly passion, partly what they're experiencing, partly what you're really good at too. That's kind of my outsider.
Yeah, and because like the sauna and ice, like it's a recovery modality. Like vasoconstriction, dilation, it literally just like flushes you out, and then it does all these other cellular things where I say it makes you harder to kill. It kills weak cells.
I fucking love that, by the way. I just tweeted that yesterday.
But you stack all these little benefits up in a very simple thing where it's like all you gotta do is sit there. Granted, you gotta sit there in the ice and you gotta sit there in the sauna, but it feels incredible. And then like I put probably 100, like just recently I put close to 100 people through sauna and ice and probably like 14 hours of coaching at Sornex's Winter Strong event. And majority of the people, again, have been standing on the sidelines. They see Rogan talk about the sauna and ice. They see whoever do it, or just the ice fad in general that's coming. And it's again, it's not a fad. It's a physiological response.
Yep.
And people don't know how it feels until they feel it. And that essence, the culture side of it, like people started hitting it multiple times. I did it with Ohio State's whole baseball and soccer team, and it becomes like their recovery tool now. And then they're in there seeing who can hold their breath longer in the ice, and
so good.
And then then like some of the football guys and people only go up to their waist, so they see all these guys then up to their neck. They're like, oh, it kind of gives you a little crazy factor. I mean, the 4 a.m. boys know that deal. So yeah, it just it's again something you have to experience, and then because I think one of my theories is people are super far away from feel now. They don't know how. They don't know how they feel. They reach for the pill. They reach for the excessive dose of caffeine sometimes.
Shout out Pre-Extreme.
Shout out Pre-Extreme. And I'm not saying in reference to the workout. And shout out to Pre-Extreme for getting me through probably at least.
Oh yeah, you took it while you're driving.
Oh dude, I killed half the bag while I was driving. Dude, that was my secret weapon for road trips, man.
Shout out Pre-Extreme.
That's inspiring.
Shout out Pre-Extreme. Well,
we'll chop that, put it on IG.
Yeah, well, but it's just and because I literally spent over 72 hours on the road.
Damn.
And it's
it's like hallucinating in the desert.
Yeah.
No, and it's cool. Like that's an experiment too. Like I probably spent at least 24 plus, maybe 40 of those hours silent. The other, I've ripped through 2 audiobooks, ripped some pods, like all that.
I look forward to that shit.
Yeah, and it's dude, that's my chance. Like that's my only window to like learn. Mm-hmm. So I got the books I wanted to, and again stole some verbiage here and there, and threw it in, see if it worked. It worked really well in Salt Lake City. Didn't work very well in Phoenix,
Yeah.
So all right, I was gonna ask because on Chasing Edges podcast, shout out. You always start out asking the guests, what edges are you chasing? What do you learn about? So I ask you the question.
Let's go.
What are the edges? Like, what are you learning about? What skills are you trying to develop now?
Yeah. So I'm trying to eventually I'm trying to simplify the connection of physiology to psychology. And in order to do that, I need to understand the brain. I need to understand what it's doing. I need to understand memories, and I need to understand the brain under pressure. And so there's a bunch of really cool books. Dylan Seeley's put me on some dynamite books. But understand some of it's like blood flow and neurosynapse, but then like some of it literally is like the suffocation, oxygen effect of energy being consumed in the brain and all this stuff. So, and some of it's complex, but then because I've always simplified it, and you guys have heard the bit before, but like I use my fist as like the brain, like this is your spine, this is your brain stem, it's your lizard brain. It's just reacting to the environment, autonomic nervous system. But it's like, okay, snakes and lizards eat their young. Why? Because they're fucking snakes. Like they don't have the consciousness we have. In the middle of the brain is the limbic system. It's like our emotional reaction. It's very mammalian, like territorial, protect our young kind of thing. And then you have the prefrontal cortex, the human gift of why we're the king of the jungle and the rhino and the big animals aren't. It's that realm of communication, problem solving, all those things, decision making. And so how I explain it is this wind chime of the lungs and the heart rate that, again, is your physiology. When that gets out of control, blood flow leaves the prefrontal cortex and you become limbic and reactive. The example I usually use is like, if you ever argue with your girlfriend or your wife and you tell her to calm down, it never fucking works.
Yeah, why are you crying? Quit crying.
Yeah, limbic. They're limbic in that essence, but it's so much more complicated than that. And I got complacent on that example, and then now I'm learning the true nature of what's happening, how much of our brain is comprehending what, and what scenarios of what influence of the physiology. And it's just, dude, I don't even think we truly know everything up to this point, but it's been really fun to learn.
Has there been anything like learning that stuck out that kind of like blew your mind, or like any cool things?
Probably the coolest thing is that not the coolest thing, but I mean, actually, it's more frustrating than cool in that realm, is that basically like 99% of the input we get from our senses and everything is all pre-consciousness. Like most of what we actually experience as humans is just lost. It's or not needed, whatever it ends up being. It just keeps us standing and moving and breathing and shit like that. So probably the amount that actually becomes conscious thought is super minimal. And then the second thing is the influence of basically like kind of like your emotional reactions. So, and I hate that like 0 to 6 years old is that important. Like how, and it gets into attachment theory and these other things where like how we, again, like if we're coddled, if we're self-soothing, what all these things as a child, or if we got lost and had just weird little traumas in that age, that can eventually affect my reactions now. And some of the, because like what's cool is like so how your memories are stored in general anyway. So you, like your hippocampus is more like your factual memory, like basically like the very whatever realistic details of that. And then now, and that's not just how your memories are stored. You can't just like look back and, okay, this is what happened and why. But no, you have your amygdala actually kind of bookmarks the memory as well with physiological language. So, and I see this in my world show up, and part of the reason why I learned this is because I didn't understand what was going on. But I'll get some people in some really fast breathing patterns, or like a girl getting the ice and she'll just start sobbing, or some of my military guys, they'll start crying while we're breathing fast. And okay, why is that? And they can't explain it. This is the pre-consciousness part of it.
No kidding.
And then now, like if you think back to it, the last time they were breathing and their physiology is in the state when they were static, it was during the trauma, whether it was military or it was a sexual trauma or whatever it ends up being. And so now, like, okay, like that's programmed into their system, and they don't know why, because that's all happening pre-consciousness. Wow. And so now it's just like, holy shit, like
that's fucking bizarre.
Yeah. But it's just like how we respond to certain words. And then I've gone down that recently. I always forget the name of the book, but I think it's like Words in Water. It's this Japanese book where the guy's basically saying words and like capturing like how the water freezes or something like that. And you say these kind of hateful words and they show up as like broken fractals, and then now you say these calming like love, things like that, and the words like the crystals freeze beautifully. And so there's different variants of how our body hold on to words and tension are triggered, so it's just never ending.
From what you just talked about, we're so far away from that.
Yeah.
Like not we, but like in general, like, because when you're saying like people are far away from feel, I think you're, because they're so removed and so distracted, and like that shit you just, like most people are like, huh? Like if they're not looking for it, this is like not even close to their conscious thought process.
No, we avoid shit. And masculinity 101 is like
sure.
If you can't control it, like you avoid it. And in the world now, things aren't really life and death. Like, so now most of the stuff we get to choose, whether we pay attention to it, ask questions about it, actually feel it, solve the problem kind of deal. And so it gets really interesting what you want to pull into your consciousness. And like I try and make everything hit and how I present, and it's just like, okay, you want a meaningful life, everything's meaningful. I'm a breathwork coach. I want every breath to be meaningful. And like, you can't be conscious of every breath throughout the day, but the more we can pull into consciousness, or we can solve subconsciously by getting you to breathe right while you sleep, all these things add up. And then like, particularly I actually thought of you, when I was learning some of the word stuff, the word affiliation with how our physiology reacts to words in that realm. But positive self-talk, Jesus Christ. Positive self-talk is so damn important.
So
like,
important.
we don't understand. Like, I'm not even talking like, okay, we want to like be our biggest cheerleader, and like, would you be friends with?
And
the
it's not on
person
some
that
corny
talks to you?
shit. I think people think like this shit is corny. Like, no, motherfucker. Like, I work hard and believe in myself, and I'm gonna keep telling myself that. Like, it's not backed up by me just throwing out some affirmation that ain't got nothing behind it. You know what I mean? I think people get that shit twisted. Like, no, I'm gonna say I believe that it's gonna work because I worked for it, and I do actually believe it. Like, I don't know. I think that people, they hear the self-positive talk and they think, you know, you're just sitting around going, wishing and hoping, and I don't know. Like,
There is that out there. Though,
there is, I
'cause,
think,
like, you
and
could dream it, you can do it.
yeah.
I just say I'm a motherfucking dog, and I'm gonna out dog my competition.
But that too, like facts though. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that I really understood, like, I literally thought this, like, when I was young, there's two ways to live this thing, because I don't even know where I got this from, because I wasn't reading and stuff then, but I just remember thinking in a certain situation, I could look at it this way or that way. This way I feel like shit. This way I feel like I have hope.
Yeah.
And that's really all faith is. And then when you back that up with actual, like, action, that's why the whole thing I got tattooed on, believe in things you can see and touch is no belief at all, but to believe in the unseen is the triumph and the blessing. Because it's like, if you're working and you're believing, I just think it's a better way to live.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
There's also like a stoicism, like topic that like Ryan Holiday talks about all the time in his like articles and like posts and stuff. But I forget which philosopher it was, but it was like every situation has two handles. Which one are you gonna choose? So like approaching it that way changes everything.
I just been around people that have only looked the other way, and I see how miserable they are, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not fucking repeating that.
Yeah, and
Get the fuck out of here.
But it's logical self-reflection will get you there.
There you go.
But people they avoid it. We don't know how we feel, and like that's
uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that's why like stoicism. I love journaling in general, just because I solve those problems. Because like, okay, I'm feeling bad. Why?
Yeah.
When's the last time you asked yourself why? Ask yourself why 5 fucking times.
Yeah.
Okay, why do I feel like this? Okay, why do I think that is? And then you'll solve a lot of your problems by just like stillness and sitting there.
Yeah.
And so
most people are not by themselves long enough to even that question to pop in, and I'm sure you see this probably especially with what you do, when it is still, people aren't used to it. They're very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm looking for it, right? And it's like, because I know what I got from it all these years of those mornings that are still. And when I don't have it, I'm fucking weird. Like, I need it, and like I'm kind of a dick about it.
Yeah.
Like I'm searching for it because I know it's necessary.
And I think people get that twisted too, because like it's not meditation, it's not sitting there still, and like that's a whole different beast.
I've probably meditated 5 times in my whole life, but what I do is meditative.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like like walking is moving meditation, like journaling is writing meditation. It depends on how you want to look at it. Weightlifting is a variant as well. So just like, I mean, find your meditation, but like you do need to ask yourself fucking questions, or you need to find yourself some peace.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what's am I good?
No, yeah, please. I mean, you guys are great fucking podcasts. You don't need me to
Danny, please ask us.
When you talk about like everyone's being so far away from feeling shit, like what's your like 1 month like starter kit? Like what do you prescribing people here?
So most of it starts with like cold and breath work, just because like the sauna is a great performance enhancing benefit. Like alongside the sauna and ice, I teach them separately too, where like when to use cold. I think cold is kind of, in essence, kind of like 4 a.m.-ish, or like making your bed. Like it's something that you don't exactly want to do, but it becomes a staple, or becomes a tough thing that you slay the beast early. You slay the little bitch in your head early, and you go. And then now you get back into field. They're just like, okay, like I usually like teach the education of the breath, 28 benefits to the nose, 1 to the mouth, the benefit of the inhale, the benefit of the exhale, like those kind of things, so that like now I try and put the ball in their court and like open up their awareness as fast as possible, where like now that you know what's happening and how it's influencing your psychology, you can either be a victim of it or you can be in control of it. And so now, like, there's no more excuses. Like, you can't say, oh, I feel bad. No, I can breathe myself to feel better. And this is probably why I'm feeling worse, is because my physiology is going in that direction. So I usually get them on a very simple breath practice, like literally like 3 minutes in the morning. But I teach them the tools to apply throughout the day, where it's like, okay, like for you, I don't want to bring work home with me. Okay, I'm going to sit in the car for 3 minutes and I'm going to slow breathe. 1-to-2 ratio, and for 3 out for 6, and for 4 out for 8, whatever it ends up being. And I'm going to change states, and then like I tangibilize the mask. But besides the point, like I usually start them with cold and start them with breath, just very minimal dose. And if they feel better, like that's the goal. But like as far as like feel goes, like then now I insert the journal and make it tangible, because like I mean, you guys track fucking everything in the gym, and like you have probably 20 years of recording. You guys have gone through the whole gauntlet yourselves, and like I mean, I hear you guys talk conjugate, and it's another language to me. So but I think that's really cool in that essence, because like I'm a believer that you can't manage what you don't measure. And so when I get into feel, because like I try and the same reason I want to know the why of why positive psychology or positive self-talk's important is like I want to be able to like story tell and connect the dots and make it tangible, that like, hey, this is what's actually happening in your physiology when you say negative shit to yourself. So that's what I'm trying to learn right now. But now you get back to the journal, why it's so important, because it tangibilizes your subjective experience. Because it's really hard to determine how you feel every day or remember accurately how you felt last week.
Impossible.
And then now the coolest thing is, and like I've heard you guys talk about it too, like saying like you're keeping your human history. Like nobody else can do that for you.
No.
So, but like the coolest thing is like, and what I've found in psychology is how warped our memory is.
Extremely.
So now, and if we're just like guessing and checking on how we felt when we did this a month ago or last week or yesterday, like it. Like we're handcuffed by our actual vocabulary, so we only can tag so many words to the memory. But now, like there's proximity rules in memory, where the farther you get away from it, the more warped it gets. The inaccuracies go down or go up massively. So it's like, okay, if I write it down and I ask questions, and if I answer the same question every day for a year and see all the different fucking responses I get, I'm okay. Like, and then now you start tracking sleep, and you start tracking things next to it. Okay, I feel better when I sleep, when I work out. Like, that's how you know how you fucking feel. Like, you track your feelings. And it's and just because I think feelings are so fleeting too, in that realm of like the emotional roller coaster we all ride, I think it only makes logical sense to try and get some control of them.
Yeah, that's actually something I've started to do within the past like 3 weeks, is like I'm pairing the journaling piece right after I work out. Yeah. So like I'm still, about the runner's high or lunch high or whatever.
That's
so like
the same way
it makes a
produce my
dramatic difference though. And then I've always like written shit down, but I've never really revisited it that much. So like now I'm starting to go back, and part of it's probably being a dad now, and then like I want to be able to look back at like what happened when, and like I know definitively this is what it is. This is what was going on. This is how I felt. All that shit.
That's the one thing I liked about McConaughey's book, Green Light, is that
you said his whole life, right?
Dude, he's journaled literally his entire life. Like he went back to like the 80s and said he was gonna win a fucking Oscar. Like
that's so wet.
After his after his first role, like it's unbelievable. And then he spent 12 days just going through them, crying, laughing, remembering, and that's where that book came from. That's why I fuck with the book. It's really good because of the reflection he was able, because he spent the time, which is kind of why I'm so excited about all the content we do, because I'm going to do that in my own, because I'm not a great journaler. I'm trying to get better at it, but I'm good at doing this stuff. So I know that the library that we've all created in this time, COVID was one of the ones that actually kind of like we were like lock in how we were feeling. Yeah. Now that's going to be really interesting to go back to the daily fires, go back to the podcast during that time, 10 years from now, and go, damn, was like that. Fuck, you know what I mean?
Dude, well, going through the transcriptions, it's really weird. It was really weird.
Yeah, because you're going through a bunch of them now.
Yeah, I'm still going through some of them now, and I'm like, man, this is
like
it's
pretty wild.
Feeling. Yeah,
all right.
You didn't really know.
Do you, Traevon?
Yeah, so like I think that just like mental health and like emotional health is like something that just not many people talk about that much. So like you being a nomad and like you're always traveling and like being busy and everything, like what are some of those practices that like you use like every single day, even if it only takes like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes or something, that you can make sure that you get done every day to, you know, check off those boxes so you know that your mental and emotional are up to par?
Yeah, it's the breathing. Like, again, like breathing's part of your life. It's just weaved into everything, whether you want it to be or not. And basically, like, your breath is a mirror for your state and your psychology is how I view it. So, like, I mean, I don't have a lot of consistency as like on the road as far as sleep, like
that'd
all
be
those
tough.
Yeah, all those things, but I can always breathe myself into a state where it's like if I'm getting agitated, like I feel it coming on, and I'll just like even while driving, I got in an argument on the phone at one point, and I like just pulled over and like slowed it down, and then hopped back on the road and went. But like and if you just look at it in the realm of a wind chime, like if you can slow it down, like nose is down regulatory, the exhale is down regulatory, spend a lot of time there. And go until like I try and tangibilize everything. Go until your mouth salivates, that kind of thing. You feel better. And like in the realm of mental health, the cool thing, I've gotten a bunch of feedback from strength coaches and stuff I've worked with now, and then I got a guy at UNC that's giving me some guidance too, where I'm actually going to reformat part of what I offer in the realm of like high performance mental health. Because
that's cool.
Yeah, well, I'd say that it's a hot topic right now in that realm. Same as you're saying.
That's a good package.
Yeah, but it's what it is, and like and people don't understand that the breath is that powerful because like I can get into the hardcore message of like, okay, if I can downregulate faster than you in competition, like okay, if I save 6% between each snap, it compounds and I have more energy at the end of the game. Like performance enhancing, I can get you more red blood cells, I can increase CO2 tolerance, aerobic capacity. Okay, awesome for performance, but like what's it doing for your decision making? And so now is this like slower breathing, getting back slower, breathing less than your opponent, all these things compound. But like what it really does is give you mental clarity, because like you'll see it a lot in football where like a guy will be on the field and he has every athletic bone in his body and he knows the X's and O's, but he can't put it together mentally. Why is that? Because like his physiology is out of control. The environment and the moment are bigger than him. And like that's an extreme example of like pro sports or sports in general. But like we get in those situations every day in life, like all the time. We get like the moment's a little bigger than us, or like there's too much going on that you can't find like a centering. And that's why I think like majority of meditation practices have breath work involved. Yeah. And it's like it's a really easy metric, whether you're just following your breath in and out, well, your brain wanders, bring it back. And it's like, okay, how much can I filter there? But like really all you're trying to filter is to a better feeling.
The box breathing that you taught us the first time we did the Fire and Ice at your place, I've used it multiple times. I think I mentioned last time like that when I get my teeth cleaned, like I have a weird response from when I got my first tattoo and then almost passed out because I'm, needles like make me all weird. So it was like, I wasn't getting a tattoo. But it's the same zzz in my body. Like I think it was the first time I got my teeth cleaned after I got my tattoo, and I had passed out multiple times. I had all kinds of fucking problems. I've gotten better, but I have to lay down. I can't do it sitting up. Even the last time I've went through multiple tattoo sessions with Jimmy Blue, I tried to sit up and I almost passed out again. So it's like I have to lay down for some reason. But when I went to get my teeth clean, I went white. And the lady was like, "You good?" And I'm thinking, what the fuck? And then, but I started using some of the box breathing and then it just went away. The other thing I noticed is that, I still have anger issues that pop up from time to time from being a kid. That's part of why I like the aggressive stuff in the morning. And I'll just and I might be mad at a level that I have no business being that mad for. These guys haven't really seen it here that much, but it's more like maybe Rachel will say something and I'll be like, fucking, why? I'm thinking like, why am I this mad about this? And I'll just have to and I'll literally just go, I got to work up to 4, hold for 4, work down. And she'll be like, she literally like, what are you doing? I'm like, just breathing it out. And like real quick, because, I know I could be upset about this, but then why does it feel like 4 times the amount? And it's from old shit. I know. I don't even know why it's there, and I'm sorting through it, but I can cope with it better, and it doesn't even happen that often. But I know like the younger version of me probably would then say something I wouldn't be proud of or not act the way that I think I should be acting. I mean, I was a guy who punched walls and did all that kind of shit growing up, so it's there. but it's like, that does down regulate it. Now I'm able to use that when I'm under the bar still to this day, which is I think why I'm wired a little different. But the reality is, like, for life, I've used some of that stuff and, just learned it a couple years ago or whenever we did that. So.
Yeah, we already talked about it, but I hear like your like basically your pre-consciousness physiology speaking to you, like you get triggered for these reasons, you don't know why, but and that's where like everything you can break down really simply into like stimulus choice response. Yeah. So like whatever the stimulus is, whether it's a heavy bar or your wife being pissed at you or whatever it ends up being, you have this space between there to make a conscious choice to get control of yourself and then respond. Yep. And I don't think people spend a lot of time in that choice realm where it's really, because it's easy to respond to your feelings and emotions.
For sure. Well, it's the most natural thing to do.
Yeah. But like, that's why like I really want to develop a message to show you that this physiology and this pre-consciousness, that's all 99% of what's happening out of your control. But once that 99% becomes the 1%, like you can stop it, breathe, and make a choice. And you feel way better. And I just think it's empowering.
It has been empowering because like that might happen to me a couple times a year, but then usually I'm apologizing for a week after of some shit I said or I blew up for no reason. I just haven't really had that happen as much. But it's something around. I know like when my kids, and it makes me feel that way, it's something around that I feel like they're not appreciating stuff. Mm-hmm. But then once again, when I really think about it, is they don't know my life. They only know their life. Mm-hmm. And so they can never feel what you felt. It's impossible. Yeah. And so once I start to understand that, but in that moment, you go right to this, they're ungrateful, blah, 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 but they're really not. They just don't know my perspective. But when I would breathe through it, and this all happens in a short window of time, but it makes me remember that like real quick because I'm thinking clearly. So
yeah, but I think awareness is such a huge thing in that realm because I don't think people have thought deeply about that concept because again I kind of coach it alongside my really small mental skills bit in my pitch and that kind of thing. But you start looking at like the same as like me and you can't talk on grit or happiness or anything the same because we have all these experiments or experiences that have led us to say in essence that like you view happiness this way. Like I always use the example from a really cool book called Stumbling Upon Happiness. It's like, okay, you have your whole family singing happy birthday around you, like on your scale of happiness, what is that? Okay, it's an 8.1 for you, it's a 7.1 for me. So like we'll never even talk about birthdays or happiness on the same scale. And so we get triggered by a lot of humans or a lot of, again, conversation topics or whatever the words are, or just like not seeing eye to eye. And why is that? It's because we're all so massively different. And like that's why I think everybody should.
The importance scale of certain things are very different for each other.
Yeah.
I like that. That's an interesting point.
Well,
you're right.
It just demystifies like the human experience where it's like
I like that word.
Well,
that's good.
Well, just like because you get this way in relationships, you get this way probably as a parent. You get like all these things where it's like you don't understand why he doesn't feel that. It's because he's not you. Yeah. And that's why I think it prioritizes getting your own shit and thoughts and feelings in line so that an understanding of what the realistic world is, and you'll understand how much is outside of your fucking control. Okay, I'll control my little world. I'll find something that's important and I'll pass it along and try and be wise along the way. But at the end of the day, like you're not going to change a lot of humans.
It kind of goes hand in hand with another stoicism thing, right? So, I mean, somebody cuts you off, right? But you and me are like, fuck that guy, and then you're pissed for like 10 minutes, but you're like, maybe they're actually sick and taking someone to the hospital right now. Yep. So like, meaning just like always giving them the benefit of the doubt and like shifting it that way. So like, so you're not immediately fucking pissed all the time.
Yeah, and that shit's hard to do.
Super hard.
It's like turning the other cheek. Like somebody yells at you for no reason. You're like, man, they're just probably just having a worse day than me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because it's true. You don't know what he's dealing with or she's dealing with, but it's like, but it is, that never used to be my first vibe. That's definitely a getting older thing. I'm like, well, if they had to fuck it, or I've had people just straight